Welcome back to another class on Gemara Journey with Rashi. We are in Masechet Berachot Daf amud Aleph. This will be part 3 of the Shi'ur. The Gemara begins, Amr Rabbi Avin bar Rav Ada Amr Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Avin, the son of Rav Ada, said in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak, Minay HaKadosh Baruch Hu manich tefillin. From where do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts on tefillin? Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Nishba Hashem bimino ubezroa uzo. Hashem swore with his right hand and with a mighty arm. Now, if we look into Torah or Shalom in Ot Vav, he tells us to look in the back of the book in Ishaya on chapter 62, verse 8. So if we're going to go all the way back, I have it on page 13. The whole verse reads like this: Nishba Hashem b'yamino ubezro uzo. Hashem swore with his right hand and with a mighty arm. Now, why is this important to know? Because we just had this over here. And we'll see, what does that mean? What does it mean with his right hand and mighty arm? Why do you have to repeat it back to back? Isn't the right hand and mighty arm the same thing? A person's right hand is usually the strong hand. So we'll see what that means, Rabotai. But back over here, he says over here, Nishba Hashem b'yamino ubezro uzo. Hashem swore with his right hand and with his mighty arm. Im eten et deganech od machal lo oivayich. If I'm going to give your grain again as a food to your enemy, v'im yishtu b'nei necha tirushech, and if the children of strangers are going to drink your wine, asher yegata bo, which you have toiled in. Now we're going to see over here that the prophet, he was consoling the Jewish people, and he was letting them know that in the future, that no longer will the non-Jews touch our food or our drinks. So he says like this, when it says Nishba Hashem, that Hashem swore, Hanavi Omer LeYisrael, the prophet said to the Jewish people, Benechama, as a consolation, Hen Nishba Hashem b'yamino ubezro chazaka. Hashem swore with his right hand and with his mighty arm. Im eten, we translated the word im to mean as if. But comes the commentary and he says no. Im eten, meaning inyan shvuahu vegezam. It's an inyan, it has something to do with an oath and making a firm statement. Whenever we read in the verse, Im eten et deganech od machal oivayich ve'im yishtu, it's not telling you if. It's not a condition. For example, the commentator is going to say, usually how do people speak? If you want X, Y, and Z to happen, then do X, Y, and Z. If you do that, then you'll get this. Hashem is not saying that over here. The commentator is explaining to us in over here the language of Im means Lashon Shavu V'Gizam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was making an oath, and he was saying as a firm statement that he swears that no longer will our enemies have any power over our food and our drinks. So let's see that one more time. Im eten ina shuvuhu v'gezam. Whenever it says the word im, it has something to do with an oath and making a firm statement. V'lo amar, but you should know, Hashem wasn't saying varehu ke'adam ha'omer kach v'kach yeh, like a person that says so and so will be. Im e'eseh hadavar hazeh, if you're going to do this thing, meaning by people we make it conditional. Hashem is not making it conditional over here. Hashem is telling you, he's making an oath, he's swearing that this is the way it's going to be. Whether you're going to do X, Y, and Z doesn't matter. It's not based off you. Hashem took an oath and he swore and he made a firm statement that our grain and our wine, the non-Jews are no longer going to be able to go ahead and eat from them or drink from them. What does it mean, tirushech? What does it mean, tirushech? So it says, yencha, your wine. Yagatabo, right, that you have toiled in, be'avodoto, while you were working, ulavsol abayit, to gather it to the house. So the prophet is telling the Jewish people that no longer will the enemies be able to put their hand on our grain and on our wine. And when Hashem said im, he was using it as a lashon shavua. He was swearing, but not saying, if you do this, then I'll do this. No, it was not conditional. So let's just see the passage one more time with the understanding of the commentary. Nishba Hashem b'yamino ubezro uzo. Hashem swore with his right hand and with his mighty arm. Im eten et diganech odem machal lo ivaich. He swears and he's making a firm statement that he'll never give your grain again as a food to your enemy. V'im yishta'u b'nei necha tirushech, and he swears that the children of strangers will never drink your wine, asher yagata bo, which you have toiled in it, to work and to be able to gather and to bring it into your house. So we see over here, Rabotai, the main concept is we want to be paying attention to the word bimino ubezro uzo. Now that we understand that this prophet was telling the Jewish people this statement as a consolation, why did you have to tell me bimino? And why did you have to tell me ubezro? Ubezro hazaka doesn't make sense. If you're going to tell me bimino, that means my right hand. If you're going to tell me with your mighty arm, that means my right hand. Why the double expression? Now that we know this, we can better understand what the Gemara says in Masechet Berachot Daf Amud Aleph. So let's see that one more time. Amar Rabbi Avin bar Rav Ad Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rav Avin, the son of Rav Ad, said in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak, Menayish HaKadosh Baruch Hu manich tefillin. From where do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts on tefillin? Sherma, like the pasuk says, Nishba Hashem bimino. Hashem swore with his right hand, ubezroa uzo, and with his mighty arm. What does that mean? He swore with his right hand. Here we go. Comes the Gemara, and the Gemara is going to tell you. Do you know the word of here, bimino? When we saw what the prophet prophesied to the Jewish people, that no longer will the enemies be able to have our grain and our wine. Do you know what how he was swearing? Bimino zo Torah. He was swearing with Torah. Like the pasuk says, how do we know now the word, his right hand, how do we know it means Torah? Because like the pasuk states, Mimino eshdat la'amo, from his right hand, the fire of loss was given to them, to the nation. So we see from over here that the word Mimino is going on the Torah. So again, now we have to go see this verse in Ot Zayin Torah Shalom. He tells us to look into the Devarim Lamed Gimel Pasuk Bet. Let's go see it over there. Again, Rabotai, if you ever pay attention into Torah Shalom, if it's a lot of them, that means it's going to take some time. Okay, that's how it works. Because you have to be able to understand the verse and then come back and be able to plug it in. Okay. Which was what? Lamed Gimel Bet. Okay, I have it in several mikrot on page 10. Lamed Gimel Bet. This is a beautiful piece. This is a beautiful piece. Vayomar, and he said, Hashem is Sinai, but Hashem came from Sinai. V'zarach misi'ir la'amo. And he's shown from Seir, it's a place. La'amo, to them. Hofiye mehar Paran, and Hashem appeared from the mountain of Paran. Again, it's a place. Ve'ata mirivavot kodesh, and he approached from Rivavot Kodesh. Again, a place. Mimino esh da'at, and from his right hand, the laws of fire were given la'amo, to the nation. Now, Rabotai, listen to this beautiful commentary. Vayomer Moshe samoch lemitato. Moshe Rabbeinu said close to his death, Hashem is Sinai ba. Hashem came from Sinai. Yatza likraat Israel kishabau likabalat Torah. Hashem Rabotai, he came out to greet the Jewish people when they came to accept the Torah. Rabotai, can you see over here another or not? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he came from Sinai. What does it mean? Hashem came from Sinai? He came out to greet the Jewish people when they came out to accept the Torah. V'zarach misi'ir la'amo. What does that mean? That Hashem shown that he gave a light from the place called Seir to them. What does that mean? So it means shepatach lebnei Esav. HaKadosh Baruch Hu opened to the children of Esav, shekibulu et Torah, that they should accept the Torah. V'lo ratzu, but they didn't want. Hofiya mehar Paran, then he appeared from the mountain of Paran to who? Shehalach lebnei Ishmael. He went to the children of Ishmael. שקיבלוהו ולא רצו. That they should accept the Torah and they didn't want. Rabotai, I want to ask you a simple question. Tell me, Hashem doesn't know who they're going to be in the end. Hashem doesn't know the ridiculous things that they're doing. So Hashem went and He offered them the Torah. He came down. How many times do we have this problem that you have somebody that upsetted you? It could be your children, it could be your wife. It can be your co-worker, it could be your boss, it could be a family member. How many times, Rabotai, we have that ga'ava? Nah, I'm not going, he coming to me. I'm better than him. What makes you say that you're better? Maybe he's better than you. I keep Shabbat, so what? How do you know? How do you know what he did, what he did? How do you know whose blood is redder? Rabotai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu went down to Esav. He asked them if they want the Torah. They said no, they rejected him. Then he went down to Yishmael. They said no, they rejected him again. Then the pasuk can say, then he came to the Jewish people. But can you imagine Rabotai to constantly go from place to place? Today a rabbi says a wrong word, you don't see people no more in shul. Because that's ga'ava. That's ga'ava. Instead of coming back and trying to break oneself, that's it, I'm not coming back. That's it, they upset at me. Just the past week, Rabotai, somebody told me, the reason why I don't want to come to shul is because of the way the people act. I'm not going to get more into more details. Rabotai, does that make sense? I don't get it. What are you blaming the people for? Just tell me you want to live an animalistic lifestyle when you can do all the affairs. That's why you blame all the people. In Shamayim, you're going to have no excuses. No, zero. Rabotai, zero. It's not going to fly by Hashem. You're not going to have any answers. To go to a doctor, even if you go to a doctor, even if he says something that you don't like, you're still going to follow his advice. You're still going to take the medication, which is bitter. But the rabbi says something you don't like, well, he wasn't even speaking to you. He was giving it as a musar shet, as shmuz. That's too much, man. I cannot for me, rabbi. You get up, you never show up back in shul. But a doctor, you trust him. Why? You see what's going on in the pills. You see what they put in. Blindly, Rabotai, we follow them. In an airplane, we sit. Blindly, we don't even know who the captain is. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu Torah, I don't know. No, not for me, Rabbi. I'm not holding there. No, not for me. All right, good luck, Rabotai. Good luck to them. We see these type of people, how much ga'ava, how much pride they have, how much ego. Forget about pride. They're very narcissistic, Rabotai. It's all about them. They don't care they just want to be able to live the life they want to live. To eat not kosher food, to be with a woman, to curse, to do they want to do everything that they're capable of doing in this world. Eat now, be married for tomorrow, you're going to die. That's their mentality. But Rabotai, that's not what the Torah teaches us. The Torah teaches just the other way. Look at Kadosh Baruch Hu, he went down to Esav and Yishmael, and they turned him down. What, should Hashem come to us now and give us the Torah? For what? If somebody turns you down, you're going to go back to try again? Somebody told me, I said, Rabbi, I said to one person, why don't you get married? He said, Rabbi, you don't understand. She turned me down. So big deal. Big deal she turned. So ask next one. She turned me down also. So that's it. The world is over. Finished. Don't get married. Stay single for the rest of your life. No children, no family, nothing. You don't understand. No, I don't understand. No. You understand. Nobody went through rejections. Only you. Rabotai, these type of people, this is Rabotai, what's ego. They can't bring themselves lower. They can't bend over, say, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Hashem is not for me. Maybe, and continue moving in life. You don't have that. You don't have that. Ego, Rabotai, ego. That's what the Gemara says. I think Masechet Shabbat. Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, me and the person who has ego, who's prideful, me and him cannot live in the same place. Where I can't be, wherever he is, I can't be with him. Impossible. You will never see a person who walks into shul, into order-based measures, like this. He could have the biggest beard and the biggest hat and the longest jacket. But if he's walking like this, like I don't know who he thinks he is. Rabotai, with all the Torah that he has, it doesn't mean nothing because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I am not with him. Torah teaches us to be humble, to give in, to forgive. That's what he says over here. Now continues the pasuk and it says, Ve'ata mirivot kodesh. And now he came to the Jewish people from Rivavot Kodesh. Again, it's a place. Rashi, the commentary says, what does it mean Rivavot Kodesh? I'm sorry, when he came from the place of Rivavot Kodesh, who was with him? V'imo miktzat rivavot malachei kodesh, and with him were a few tens of thousands of holy angels. What does it mean? Mimino esh dat la'amo. That's what we want to actually see. What does that mean? Esh dat. What does that mean? That dat means like religion, like the laws. Esh means fire. What does that mean? Shahayta kituva me'az lefanav. Rabotai, that it was written before him since then. The Torah was written before him from the day of creation. Not from the day of creation. From before creation. The Torah was already written. How was it written? Be'esh shechura aga be'esh levana. Can you imagine this? It was written with black fire on top of white fire. Just imagine for yourself like this. Our Sefer Torah, the ink is black, the cloth is white. I never thought about this. Rabota, our Sefer Torah, the ink is black, the cloth is white. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the Torah that was written before me, before creation, how was it written? It was black otiyot and white, black fire, which made the words, and white fire, where the words were on. Basically, like what we have today, if you can see it, if you can envision it, like our Sefer Torah, you have black ink on white parchment paper. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah was in fire. It was black fire. The letters were in black fire. And if I can quote unquote say the parchment, which is our white, by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it was white fire. It was not a parchment. It was literally you had white fire and you had black fire letters on it. Can you imagine, Rabotai? That's how the Torah was written for HaKadosh Baruch Hu before the day of creation, before the world was created. One more time, it says like this: Eshdat shahayta kituva me'az lefanav, that it was written before him since then, meaning from before creation. How was it written? Be'esh shechura, with black fire, aga be'esh levana rabotai, on white fire. Like I explained, like our Sefer Torah has black ink on white parchment paper, by HaKadosh Baruch Hu was black fire on top of white fire. Can you imagine that, Rabotai? V'natan lahem beluchot, and he gave it to them on the luchot. He was not going to give it to them in the fire form, so he put everything into the luchot. Ketav yad yimino, written by his right hand. So we see from over here, how do we know the Torah means? How do we know the Torah, when it says mimino, it's going on the Torah? Because the pasuk says, mimino eshdat la'amo, from his right hand. Whatever was written with his right hand, he gave it to the Jewish people on the tablet. So let's go back into the Gemara. Let's see that one more time. So he said like this: Amr Rabbi Avin bar Rav Ada Amr Rabbi Yitzchak. Rav Avin, the son of Rav Ada, said name Rabbi Yitzchak. Menashe HaKadosh Baruch Hu manich tefillin. From where do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts on tefillin? Shenemar, like the pasuk states, Nishba Hashem b'mino b'zero uzo. We already know what that means. Bimino. What does it mean, Bimino? Zo Torah. How do I know Bimino with his right hand? That's going on Torah. Shenemar, like the pasuk states, Mimino esh dat la'amo. He wrote it with his right hand and then he gave it to the Jewish people, like we saw in the pasuk. Now we see from over here that the word Bimino, his right hand, means Torah. So I'll put it to you like this: when it says Nishba Hashem Bimino, Hashem swore with the Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is never going to give our grain and our wine to our enemies ever again. That is the consolation the prophet gave to the Jewish people in the end of days. What does it mean? Ubizroa uzo. What does that mean? With a mighty arm, with a strong arm. Elu tefillin. These are the tefillin. So when Hashem says, when the prophet said to the Jewish people, Nishba Hashem b'yamino, that Hashem swore with the Torah, ubizroa uzo, and the tefillin, that the enemies will no longer eat the grain and drink the wine of the Jewish people. So the Gemara continues and it says, 1 second. Oh, first he's going to bring you proof. Ubezro uzo elu tefillin. When it says the verse with his mighty arm, it's referring to these are the tefillin. Sherema, like the pasuk states, Hashem oz la'amo yitein. Hashem is going to give strength to the Jewish people. Comes Rashi in the word oz la'amo, and he says, Uminayin shatefillin oz hem leYisrael. How do we know that tefillin is an oz, it's a strength, it's power for them, the Jewish people? Because the pasuk says, Vira'u v'gomer, vir'u mimeka, because they're going to see, etc., and they're going to be afraid of you. Now, let's just see the Gemara is going to bring that same verse right down. So he says like this, Shenema, like the pasuk says, Hashem oz la'amo yitein, Hashem gave strength to his nation. Uminayin shatefillin oz hem leYisrael. How do we know that tefillin is a strength for them, the Jewish people? Because the pasuk says, Vira'u kol amei haaretz, and all the nations of the land are going to see, Kishem Hashem nikra alecha, that the name of Hashem is going to be called upon you. Vir'u mimeka, and they're going to be afraid from you. V'tanya was taught in the Baraita. Rabbi Eliezer Gadol says, Elu tefillin sheberosh. These are the tefillin which is on the head. When it says over here the pasuk, Vira'u kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem nikra alecha vira'u v'yiru mimeka, is going on the tefillin shel rosh. It's going on the head tefillin. But what do we see over here? We see from over here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts on tefillin from the word where it says, Ubezro uzo. Elu tefillin. How do we know that that's the tefillin? Because it says Hashem oz la'amo yitein. And we saw Rabotai, how do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, that the tefillin is oz? That he gave it to the Jewish people? Because it says, Vira'u kol amei haaretz, ki shem Hashem nikra alecha v'yir'u mimeka. Because the nation of the world are going to see, and that Hashem's name is on you, that is called on you, and they're going to be afraid from you. Okay. Rabotai, so let's just see this one more time, from Amar Rabbi Avin bar Rav Ad Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, one more time till where we got Elu tefillin sheberosh. Amar Rabbi Avin bar Rav Ad Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rav Avin, the son of Rav Ad, the son of Rabbi Yitzchak. Minayin shakadosh Baruch Hu manich tefillin. From where do we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts on tefillin? Shenema, like the pasuk says, Nishba Hashem b'mino ubezro uzo. Hashem swore with his right hand and with a strong arm. B'mino, when it says in the verse b'mino, zo Torah, that's going on Torah. Shenema, like the pasuk says, Mimino eshdat la'amo. Like the pasuk said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wrote with his right hand and he gave it to the Jewish people. Ubezro uzo, when it says in the verse, Ubezro uzo, elu tefillin. These are the tefillin. So when the prophet said to the Jewish people that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he swore, what did he swear with? He swore with tefillin and he swore with Torah. So we see from over here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wears tefillin. Shenema, like the pasuk says, Hashem oz la'amo yitein. Hashem gives strength to the nation. Uminayin shatefillin oz hem leYisrael. So how do we know that the tefillin is a strength for the Jewish people? Dichtiv, like the pasuk says, or like it's written, Vira'u kol amei haaretz, and all the nations of the land are going to see, Ki shem Hashem nikra alecha, because the name of Hashem is called on you, Vir'u mimeka, and they're going to be afraid from you. V'tanya was taught in the Baraita, Rabbi Eliezer Gadol Omer, Rabbi Eliezer the great one says, Elu tefillin sheberosh, that these are the tefillin on the head. So we see from over here, Rabotai, that how do we know, Rabotai, that the tefillin is an oz? It's a strength for the Jewish people from the verse where it says, Vira'u kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem nikra alecha. When it says that Hashem's name is going to be called on you, comes Rabbi Eliezer Gadol and it tells you that that's going on the tefillin shorosh, that when a person wears the head tefillin, then you see from there that Hashem's name is called on him. And that's how we're going to have oz. And that's where people are supposed to be afraid of us. I forgot the name of the rabbi. He said one time, if that is so true, how come today they're not afraid? They're not afraid. Something's not right. Rabotai, the pasuk clearly says, if you're going to have Hashem's name on you, which is referring to the tefillin, so then all the nations are supposed to be afraid of us. But we see they're not afraid. So I forgot the name of the rabbi. He said, do you know why? Because when a person has tefillin on, his whole mind has to be only on the tefillin. You can't have his seichtat. You can't take your mind off the tefillin. You can't think about anything else. But it's very hard for us to do it. A lot of us speak with our tefillin. A lot of us think of things which bichlal that have nothing to do with tefillin. So Rabotai, in a sense, I'm not going to say that it's not kadosh. The tefillin is kadosh. But the fact that we're not connected with the tefillin, this rabbi says that's why people don't fear us. Because we don't give that importance. We don't show that the tefillin is important. I forgot there was once a rabbi, he had a court case. One of the Gedolim, one of the Gedol Achronim. A few hundred years ago, he had a very big court case. And when he went, they said, do you need a lawyer or something? I forgot the whole story. I don't recall it. But the punchline over there was that he said, I don't need nothing. I'm going to go with Hashem. They don't understand what that means. When he came to the courthouse, he walked in with his tefillin on his head. When the judge saw him, he said, that's it. No. Let him go. He's free. There's nothing. Why? Because they said he was so connected to the tefillin that be'emet, this pasuk was fulfilled by him. That once they see Hashem's name is called on them through the tefillin, that's why, and then they're going to be afraid of us. By him it was fulfilled. But by most of us, Rabotai, it doesn't work like that. Why? Because our minds are on our phones, on the things we watched, on the things we saw, and so on and so forth. We sometimes forget that the tefillin is on us. What's the proof, Rabotai? If you ever paid attention on Shabbat, right? When you say Baruch Atah Hashem Ga'al Yisrael, did you ever catch yourself going like this? Well, you think that it's by habit. If you would have done that, you would know, I don't have tefillin. On other days, I do have tefillin. But it's by rote. We're so accustomed to doing things, we don't even pay attention what we're doing no more. Or also when you get to the brach of Yetzer Or, right? Sometimes you want to kiss your, or Kadosh, you want to kiss your tefillin. No, okay, nobody's looking. Okay, good, Baruch Hashem. Right, because Rabotai, it's by rote. We don't really feel, we don't really pay attention that the tefillin is on us. In any event, we see from over here today, that from where do we know that Kadosh Baruch Hu puts on tefillin? From the pasuk Nishba Hashem b'mino ubezoro uzo. And how do we prove that Hashem wears tefillin? Because it says ubezoro uzo elu tefillin. Shenimar Hashem oz la'amo yiten, like it says that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave the Jewish people strength. And anyway, Rabotai, have a great day. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen. Amen.